I've been at it all my life, but the key is that when I was younger, I was focused as a piano player. I ended up winning a lot of competitions. I got up on stage and performed with orchestras. I did a lot of performance by age 15. So I was very focused as a young child, 8 hours a day for how many years, I don't know, but piano was my life, and it gave me a chance to really be involved with high energy early on in my years, and learning about the mind, the brain, and the heart. And the key that I had wasn't, oh, I was a great technical musician. I was in love. And really, at the root of everything we're doing, we're going to really probably come back to that. Gee, I'm already getting excited. The root of everything I'm going to talk about is the word so. And that's not going to stay. So, it's kind of a interesting word, and everything I learned in music had this structure to it, and so is the key. The sound that we're listening to is the so chord, and I learned of the so chord by sitting next to a creek in North Carolina for years. And first, by the creek, I established a baseline of insanity. In my mind, I was hearing all these voices, my parents saying, you got to practice, or you got to do this. I got teachers in my head. I got all this stuff in my head, and as I sat and became calm, I had all this information in my head, and I just want to get rid of it and move to a place of peace. And when I did, it was harmony. It was relationships. It was sounds coming out of the forest. It wasn't just birds tweeping. It was a baseline. It was as if the earth was breathing. And this breath and the knowledge and the relationship of all of these things is an act of so, and I want to talk about that. Years and years go by. I'm in a lab for 36 years developing environments. We've worked with doctors and therapists. We've created multi-dimensional sound rooms that affect the brain at such a deep level that people are going into lucid dreaming almost within 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Our biggest problem, and I heard this in the room, was the belief system. I think that one of our biggest problems isn't to have a big experience, is to be able to ground it after you have it. And I really think that that's one of the most key elements. And Susanna Long, he was talking about, is a partner of mine, about 8 years ago, calls me up and says, hey, we want to create this healing center, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, you and everybody else. I was really kind of trying to get away from all of the people that wanted to do this healing thing, because there was never any money to do it. And so she goes, well, but it's not just about that. It's also about education and grounding and really getting these experiences. Once these people have an experience, that's when the work really starts, because this will initiate it. And so I was like, okay, great, let's really talk. And so she came out. I had a geodesic structure at the time where I was playing and compressing audio in such a way that was sacred geometrical forms within music, but dimensional. And so you lay in the center with your head in the center, feet toward the wall, and I can get a thunderstorm, to play a thunderstorm in this room that's so real that you hold out your hand and swear the room was raining. When the horses ran through the room, you could taste the dust. It was like as if the only thing I was playing was audio, but you got the experience of all of the actual senses. We filled in the blanks. When the thunderstorm came on, you felt it was cold. And you pull up your blanket, whether it was cold or not, you felt it was cold. I had a lady from the Philippines go, well, I didn't feel it was cold. I go, well, where did you grow up? She says, Philippines. I'm like, okay. And so we even smell the ozone, but is the ozone present? And then anything after this becomes really bizarre, and I don't want to go into that. That's another complete week. So even though I'm not a practitioner, and I don't want to speak as a practitioner, I want to speak as a musician. And that's my best language, is the language of music. And I'm not going to claim anything. I got to tell you, the stories are off the charts. I mean, we're excited about having the technology in a table. We have them in a floor. We have them in a sound chair, and we're having great success and opportunities with things that people are having trouble with: autism, PTSD. Basically not sleeping. So we have a sound bed. I've been working with this bed that's mine for 3 years now, and I'm so spoiled. Like building that floor, I'm getting old to be on my knees and doing this kind of work, and every night I would go home going, oh man, I don't know why I'm doing this. And I lay down in that bed and I turn that sound on and wake up the next day and I'm just fine. So we're really able to rest, rejuvenate, and relieve and move on to the next stage. And so we're really finding great success in using sound and resonance to bring the body back into balance. Really, so or soul is the act of the sun. It is a resonance, it's a geometric, it's pushing, it's pulling. And as it pushes and pulls, there are two forces in which are always interacting, always at the same time. Music. If you take the S, and you put the S and the O, you get the yin-yang. Boy, that's a big symbol. How many times do we know about that? And it's the key is balance. Love, compassion. One of the keys, again, the so chord, we call that. This is the so table. Everything's got so on it. We've got so jazz and so this and so that. I would like everybody to just kind of think about when you use so. You use so as the last word to complete your speech. And when you wanted to go to something else, you use the word so. Anybody want to help? What do you use so for in your life? So, how you doing? Transitions, awesome. I was so tired. It's describing something that you can't describe. So if you walk into a room and everybody's speaking different languages and you walk into the center and you say the word loud enough to where everybody can hear it, they will all stop and turn to you and you will become the act of so. Center point, all attention is drawn to the center, looking toward that ground, that oneness. So be it. Is a phrase we use to put something in motion. It's interesting. We don't even look at the word so. So be it. So is the act of being. It is pointing back to so, saying that this is what we're doing. It creates this circle. It creates this cycle. It creates manifestation. It closes the loop. Life. It would be great if this week you would really be mindful about the word. Listen to who uses it, listen to how they're using it, when they use it, listen to when you're using it, how you use it. Getting someone's attention so you can say something, I guarantee you, probably out of your mouth, first word is so. Interesting. Do, re, mi, fa, so, sol, la, ti, do. In solfege, we get, when I was at the conservatory, they didn't call it just so, S-O, they called it soul. And it had a lot to do with the singing properties. But it doesn't matter. If it's so or soul, it's still the same thing. And in this act of so is, in music, you have a fundamental, a foundation. And let's say that fundamental is the earth going, and it's this big wave that pulls off of the earth. That wave has to divide. It gets smaller and smaller. that first division of the wave is the basis of what we call harmony. And the first note is so. And it's not just the fifth above, it's an octave and a fifth. And it is the foundation. It's like two dolphins swimming together in harmony. It doesn't establish expansion, contraction. It is the egg in which the yolk can grow. It is the embodiment. It's the containment. The two, if we were in the key of C, it would be C and G. G is so and C is do. And so the relationship of the two creates almost like a hollow sound. Drums are tuned to fists so they can travel through the forest. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The more you study fists, the more you really realize the importance of the fifth and the strength of the fifth. And this chord is root fifth. The first four notes that are established within this. And so these really fundamental containments are key that we can then start to experience expansion and contraction. And in a sense, that yin and yang, the S and the O, the outside is like the fifth. And the two inside are the expansion and contraction, giving, receiving, yin, yang. And so in music, we have major chords. And who's a musician in the room? Anybody know anything about music? Okay. We really do need to have a discussion. If we're working with people, we really want to have a discussion about the music, the type of music, the relationship of music, and all of those things. I think the big question is they go, well, Barry, what kind of music should I play through it? And the most important thing is not so much the kind of music, although that is critical, it's a big deal, but it's also, the key is getting the person to listen. Because when we go into a state of listening, we're not thinking about the past, we're not thinking about the future, we're like in the now, we're receiving. If there was ever a chance for us to let go and to heal, it's to not think about the problems. It's to have something that's so impactful that I'm in an art of the acoustic resonance technology, the art of listening. And this state immediately is what happens with lucid dreaming. Our brainwaves start to happen. Let me just draw this up here. I kind of always think of everything in geometrics. It helps organize because you'll forget something or you'll miss something. And in geometrics, there's always dynamics. Some things are receiving, some things are giving, and some things are that which you sit on. If you sat in a lotus position, you would be sitting in a tetrahedron. A tetrahedron is the basics of Platonic solids. It's a triangle, right? If you sit down in your triangle, and then the point above is conscious of all 3 points. And so when we start to really learn about relationships, we think about, if we thought about something that was very conscious, we would have an input, we would have an output, we would have a foundation in which we sit on, and a consciousness of all of those things simultaneously. If we weren't conscious of all of those things, then it's just a triangle, which is okay, but you really want to take it to the next level, which is to have knowingness of all of those aspects simultaneously. And you can do this through structure when working on somebody, thinking of your body as a geometric to ground it. So when you're working on somebody, especially with sound, things are going to flow, and so you want to give that flow a direction. I'm jumping, sorry. One of our taglines is to discover harmonic intelligence. The music you should play through the table should have intelligence. If it was just a vibrator and it was just vibrating at whatever, you know, those little vibrators. You ever take one of those little vibrators and try to work, and all of a sudden after a while you're like, it's because we are not okay with things that are not intelligent. We are always changing. So a non-variable motor that is of a frequency that it doesn't change, immediately with about 5 minutes irritates us. Pure low frequencies. We have a lot of music therapists and people in the know, and I don't always agree with everything that's going on, because through the years I've seen things really harm people. And when things are powerful and done in certain ways, overdoing things, you can really draw someone off of their center. For instance, I'm in a room full of fluorescent lights. If I just stay in a room without any outside light at all, and I'm just around fluorescent lights, my system, I've evolved to be in, you know, my dad's mom's, you know, everybody's grown up with pure spectrum light. So if I provide myself an environment that wasn't of that intelligence, I would become diseased. In music, it's consonant and dissonance. It would be dissonant. And to play a chord that is just constantly dissonant, you will become part of that dissonance. So the question is, now you have this instrument, what do you want to play through it, and how do you want to affect them? So you might want to use jazz as like saying, oh yeah, let's create dissonance and then relax it. So dissonance isn't bad, it's just it creates this tension and then you can relax it. So sometimes good music is also about contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion. You know, minor is more of a like a pensive sound. If I played a minor chord, I'd be going, and be thinking, and you're feeling energy coming in. A major chord is like this, you know. It's a beautiful day. That's a major chord. We're listening to a major chord. A diminished chord is so as we create the fifth and we start to go into these ratios, we realize this harmony is an intelligence. And so if we provide an environment that's harmonic, we have a really good start with helping people come into a state of balance. A lot of the music, I shouldn't say a lot, but there are a lot of science-developed types of musical experiences that are tones, that are frequencies, that are, I'm going to hit the shocker with this tone, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. I think that's great. I think that, you know, we've got aspirins and we've got, you know, whatever. We've got all these different drugs that do different things, and practitioners are someone that can utilize all the different things that are out there to help the patient, right? Yet I believe that providing something as simple as a harmonic, dynamic, safe, comfortable environment, you will find people moving into these experiences like that, naturally. Not saying, I know what they need, I'm going to do this. Sometimes let's say, well, their liver's out and we're going to hit them with, 68 hertz. And so we're going to, do that for 5-10 minutes. And what happens in the first second, the liver goes, oh, wow, thank you, and says, I've got enough, stop, turn it off. Then the person gets out of the calmness and moves into irritation. So this is a powerful instrument, and it can be an irritant if someone doesn't want the experience, because it is immersive, it is entrainment.